Awesome. All right. So our homework from last time was you're supposed to click on chapter one, beginning journalism. It makes a copy for you. And then here's an outline of the assignment, right? So this is an outline of the chapter. What you needed to do was give me what these things mean. So for example, for this section, if you look at the book, it says media convergence, give me a summary, provide key points. If I give you something like this, where I have a term and a colon, that means you're supposed to define what those mean, what is it? And we had it for the whole chapter, and the end, you're supposed to do that, the summary, and then you submit it. So let's check this out. We have some, but we're still waiting for others. It is part of your grade. Remember, each week that is late, you guys lose points, so you want to get that done. All right, so we're going to go over chapter one today. If you go to unit 2, week 3, you go to chapter 1. I'm going to go over quickly what was the chapter about. I included a PDF version if you guys want to save it for use. Help you with the understanding material. So just keep in mind, at the end of our class period, you can open up our quiz and you take it. And during week 10, we actually have a test that's going to be about chapters 1 through 5. So we're going to keep track of those things. All right, so our notes for today, chapter 1 presentation. I'll open it in a separate file. Let me make sure you guys see my screen. Okay, so what we have here, chapter 1, beginning journalism. Let's go over this. My experience is limited. I've never been a professional journalist. I've just had high school journalism experience. When I was in high school, your age, I was journalism from freshman, sophomore I wasn't it. Freshman, junior, and senior, so 3 years. And I've been doing this teaching it for about 3 years now. All right, so here is our presentation for today, chapter 1, beginning journalism. You have an outline already that you should have completed or should be completing still. So we don't need to necessarily have notes for the class. So each week you guys complete the outline before we come in, and I go over notes and then I explain it. As we get better, then we start introducing newer assignments like article writing and other things that relate to journalism. But right now, my goal in chapter 1 and 2, it just seems like bookwork, is to get you guys to understand the basics of what journalism is. And because it's hard to know how to write if you don't know what's the requirements are, right? All right, let's new press. File, present. Okay, you should be able to see my screen. The key thing, what is media? So it sounds confusing, and in your quiz, I want you to understand the differences between the different medias and the names. The very, very singular version of it is medium. A medium is a means of transmission, right? So a medium could be newspaper, magazine, a YouTube clip, a blog, a tweet, social media like an Instagram post. A medium is any way a message is sent from one place to another, right? So medium. So newspaper, magazines, tweets, text, whatever, a picture. The word media is the plural form of medium, right? So when someone says, what is the media being used, right? We're talking about multiple mediums. When we use the phrase the media, right, we refer to people who use a form of mass media for communication with the public. So if I say the media instead of just medium, we're referring to people in news, tabloids, the paparazzi, the media, the people that cover the news. As I mentioned before, media examples, so different mediums Media is the plural form, meaning there's multiple. Difference from saying like dog or dogs is radio, newspapers, magazines, books, video games, blogs, websites, podcasts, video sharing. So that is media. And if you guys have any questions as we go along, let me know because we are taking a quiz at the end of this. All right, and make sure you guys do those chapter summaries and the outlines. Those are the main part of your grade for this early part of this year. So if you miss that, you automatically have like a failing grade. So keep in mind, I do turn in grades tomorrow night. So if you don't have the chapter 1 summary done, it's gonna be hard for me to give you guys a passing grade. With that said, all right, so in the past, the old method of media consumption is eating or drinking or taking it in, right? Consumption. Readers, viewers, and listeners consumed what was presented to them. All there was what's on the news, what was on TV, and what they heard on the radio. Now things are a little different. Our means of consumption is presented to us, and we are able to help create news. What do I mean by that? Things have changed, like social media have changed the way news is created. We have Twitter, we have YouTube. So instead of you just waiting for the newspaper like in the 1950s and 1960s and 1920s, you can actually go out and create media of your own. Yeah, I see a lot of kids today use like vlogs and stuff like that, or they're like Twitch famous or whatever, YouTube stars. The differences between then and now, newspapers are yesterday's news, right? So that's actually a dying industry. And if you look at the chapter we had, newspapers are starting and are going out of business. A lot of them are fading away. And it makes sense. Why go pay 50 cents for a newspaper or $1 when you could Google something, when you could look it up and you find it right away, or you go on Twitter and you get the news quickly. The internet and TV can provide live coverage. Websites are cheap to make. Books, newspapers, and magazines are nuts. So readers want short, snappy stories. People don't want to read long articles anymore. They want to see 140, 280 characters. They want to see a 2-minute video instead of an hour news program. So things have changed significantly from back then to now. The way your parents understood what was happening to what I understood was happening. If something like a tragedy happens in the world, you know instantly. Like in Belarus, there was the explosion, or the death of George Floyd. You know within an hour what happens. Back then, you had to wait till like Sunday, or you had to wait like 2 days, or the next day's newspaper. Here's an interesting stat. 26% of Americans get their news on their cell phones. Half of online news concerns with social networking sites use those pages for news. So what that means is 26% of people only get their news from their phone, which is a crazy statistic, because that means they're not looking at TV, they're not listening to radio, they're not reading articles. It's all from what's happening on their phone. And half of online news comes from places like social media. But the problem with that is some social media sites aren't verified. Or if you follow someone on Twitter, sometimes they don't have the most accurate information. But regardless, 26% of Americans get their information from cell phones. So what does this mean? Americans are becoming grazers, right? Reading headlines, but not entire stories. What does this mean in terms of media consumption? If you think about that, people rarely read the entire article. They look at headlines, and from that, they learn, right? They say they know what happens. People's attention span's a lot shorter. We're just looking at headline to headline to headline. There are more media outlets than ever, and the public has the ability to curate the news feeds however they choose. That means you can follow on Instagram, on Facebook, you guys don't use Facebook, on Snapchat or Twitter. You guys specifically choose who to follow. Back in the 1920s, there's only 3 stations, or 1940s, there was 3 television stations where you got your news from. from today on your Twitter feed, you could choose. You guys use Twitter, right? I'm guessing. Adidani? Let's choose a random person. Adidani,
Yes.
do you use Twitter?
No.
Do you use Instagram?
Yeah.
What kind of people do you follow on Instagram besides your friends?
Celebrities
Celebrities. Which celebrities?
like the Kardashians.
Like Kardashian. So okay, makes sense. So what? Thank you. So depending on who you follow on social media sites or news sites, that's the type of information you'll get. You get to choose what kind of information comes to you. But what that leads to is this phrase called confirmation bias. Confirmation bias. What that means is you only follow news and facts and information that support what you believe, right? Let's say you believe that global warming is fake and climate change, all that stuff isn't real. So you go out there and you only follow newspapers and articles and celebrities that believe the same thing. What's going to happen? Well, you're going to start to get this echo chamber, meaning they're going to start saying the things that you believe, and it's going to reinforce those same biases. Biases mean that people have a subjective opinion, meaning they aren't neutral, they choose a side. So confirmation bias is you're using and selecting information to prove your point and ignoring everything else. If on my Facebook page, and it makes me sound old, if on my Facebook page, I only choose to follow news sites that love Joe Biden and hate Trump, then I'm going to get only news about why Biden is good and Trump sucks, right? So that's confirmation bias. So things are different today than in the past because people in the first time ever are able to create and share news. Even though in journalism, the Spartan Shield, we're able to create news for the school. Anyone could go out there and make news because I know there's at least like a small percentage of the population who create video vlogs, and you have your own Twitter or whatever or Instagram, and you are publishing information as it goes. Even things like when the Black Lives Matter movement is happening, people would repost or share or post from other people. You're helping to create content. And the last thing, the size of newsrooms are shrinking. So it could be possible within 20 years, things like the LA Times, the Washington Post, things that are printed news, it's going to go away because not enough people are buying it. When's the last time someone you know, bought a newspaper? Maybe once in a while, maybe you have grandparents, maybe uncle, older folks. But for you guys, your generation, you guys don't really buy it anymore. Even magazines, I doubt too many kids buy magazines anymore. When I was younger, I loved looking at like the car magazines and like other things. But when's the last time I needed that if I could go on my phone and look it up? Those businesses are going away. So one of the first things from chapter 1 you learned was this idea of media convergence. Right? This is another name for that is multimedia. So that just means stories that happen across numerous media platforms. For example, there's a Simpsons TV show. You go to Universal, there is a roller coaster, there's a video game on PlayStation, or participatory culture happens when media consumers can annotate, comment, or remix and influence culture. So think of how many times you see a video on YouTube, and then within like a week or two, you see like a remix. Someone makes like a auto-tuned song version of it, and then a week after there's a meme about it, and then a week after there's a different meme about that meme. The culture of convergence changes, so things aren't just stuck to just being, if it's a news story, it's stuck in the newspaper. Now, if it's a story, it is being used by different parts of media, right? It becomes a story on YouTube, it becomes a Twitter, it becomes a meme, it becomes a GIF. So things aren't just one place anymore. The media is changing. uh, yeah, it kind of goes on. We'll talk about this one is just TV shows and other things. All right, one of the craziest things that has happened in your generation is the rise of social media, right? Social media has changed things. When I was your age, high school, MySpace was the biggest thing. And we used an instant messenger. We should message each other. That was before phones were really that popular. When I graduated from high school in 2007, that's when Facebook really started getting big. And then in 2009, 2010, that's when I started using Instagram. And from there, things are just really, life is different. Back then, if you did something embarrassing or you said whatever, no one really knew about it. But now everything's online, everything's saved on Twitter, and which is kind of bad. There's some things that are happening on Twitter that is causing some damage to people's reputation. So you see people like Kevin Hart, and they're using the media platform. 10 years later, people are looking at their tweets and seeing what they said. So we're seeing this whole generation of people on. Oh, so someone asked me. So
Cancel culture?
Christopher, say it again.
Are you? I don't know. That was somebody in the chat box, but I was asking, are you talking about cancel culture? Is that?
Kind of. I kind of mentioned it just because in the past, if you said something, no one would ever know about. But we're living in a culture where things seem to be more permanent, right? Whatever you put online, it stays online. So someone asked me, what's my opinion on cancel culture? That's a very good question. I think, let's see, it's hard to judge someone for what they did years ago. Obviously, it is like if it's a racial or sexist thing, we should at least bring it up and have a conversation with the person, right? But I don't believe you should cancel someone because it takes away their ability to change. I think we live in a culture that believes, like, we believe in prison reform, we believe in schools. I believe that if a student messes up, he has the ability to get better. But what cancel culture does is convinces people that there's no coming back. Like Kevin Hart, hey, he said something that was, I think, homophobic back 10 years ago. Let's get rid of him. Let's cancel him. Let's take away his opportunities for jobs. But that's silly. I think we at least should have a conversation with the person. You should at least be able to allow them to fix their mistakes. But think about you guys. Would you guys want to be judged for something you guys said when you were a teenager? Or even for you guys, would you want to be judged for something you said as a middle school student? Tyson, what do you think?
Definitely not.
Have you said things in your past that you regret?
Yeah.
So I want you to consider that at the same thing for when I was a teenager, I said some dumb things. I'm glad it wasn't in social media. When I was a 20-year-old, I said some dumb things. And I think the part of life is being able to develop, to grow, and to learn from your mistakes. And what the problem with cancel culture is, it sets out to ruin the lives of people. All right, so social media has created new jobs. I have friends that work at Facebook and Google. That is the next industry. If I had to tell you guys to get into a field that makes money, that you'll live a good life, that would be interesting and cool, go try to get into social media companies. Those are the next big things. Don't get into like a company that is fading away, an industry that's not going to be around in the future. What are the things that might not be around? Let's see. Well, I mean, for example, there's even in my lifetime, I've started to see a transition in the way culture is. I see Uber didn't exist when I was younger. When it now exists, you see the disappearance of like the taxi services and stuff like that. So my recommendation, social media, that's like the newest generation of jobs. So what's good about it? It's crowdsourcing. So you learn information through groups of people, and the readers can actually participate. That's the newest thing. In the past, if there's a news program, TV was on, You might talk to the TV, but no one's listening. But now on any video clip, on any story, you could reply, you could respond, you could comment, you could interact. They might not respond to you, but you're putting your voice into the world. That's one of the first things. Readers can actually participate now. So that's what we kind of say citizen journalism. And this is all in the chapter 1 stuff that you guys should turn in before tomorrow. It was due already, but I'll still let you turn in for late credit. Another type of participation, but who contribute to news organizations with blogs, reporting, news stories, and other information. So blogs are like people have their own websites and they follow their own news. Like I used to have a blog when I was a teenager. I used to follow like local cultural events around my area. But this could be video blogs. You see people on YouTube, they have blogs about them just talking about their day or commenting on videos, or they have video blogs of them playing games or reviewing games. Those are their own things. That's citizen journalism. Another thing is online news. There's something called paywalls. So paywalls are fairly new, and that's the way for news companies to earn money. So in the past, you would have to buy a newspaper for what, 50 cents, 25 cents, $1. Now, if you want to look at it online, what they decided to do was you go look at one article, but after that, you have to pay extra to read the rest of the article. You go to LA Times, they give you like 2 articles for free. And then if you keep clicking around, something will pop up and say, so please subscribe, right? So paywalls are a new thing, and that's what they're trying to fight back on. Some people argue that news should be free. Yes, in a sense, it should be free. But if you want quality news, you need to be able to pay for it, because those are jobs. The journalist has a job, the editor has a job, the printer has a job, the publishers have a job, and they need money. So that's the reason for the paywalls. Within the last 20 years, and we're going to actually watch some documentaries later in the future, is the idea of the 24-hour news cycle. Back then, during your parents' time and even my time when I was growing up, the only time you saw the news was like 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and the morning news, right? There's specific time periods. Now there are stations that are 24/7 news. What could be the problem with having a news story be 24/7? Some issues can occur. So the crazy thing is things break fast. When a story comes out, we say it breaks. News story, the story broke. And what that means is sometimes things will find out immediately. When rest in peace, Kobe Bryant passed away, within 1 hour, within 30 minutes, people knew. Then within an hour, it's confirmed by TMZ. Things happen quickly. There's some other things, but one of the key things is because of the speed of news, accuracy is declining. So, for example, back when Kobe died back in January, the first thing that came out was Kobe and his whole family were in a helicopter. And then someone said, no, it was just Kobe. And then someone just said it was Kobe and some of his daughters. So that was one of the classic examples. And they're actually getting sued right now because they kept releasing information before they could verify it. And what you're starting to see is less accurate information because of the speed of information. People are think about how many news companies there are. They're all competing with each other. They're all trying to fight with each other to see who can release the story the fastest. And this is causing the news to be less and less accurate. But this also goes back to the confirmation bias. Sometimes, I think Elijah asked me this question: why is the news getting less and less, more and more subjective, right? And it's because sometimes we're starting to see people have their own agendas, their own biases when they write these stories. All right, so as you go through the semester, the thing we're going to learn is about journalism. And if you become a journalist, if you want to become a writer or a broadcast person, what you need to do is accuracy, trying to find the truth in things, clarity, being able to explain yourself clearly, balance, that's a key thing. And Elijah asked me this last time, like, why are some newspapers, they only state their opinion? And balance is the key thing. If I cover the story about the presidential election, the way to achieve balance is I cover Joe Biden and I cover Donald Trump equally. If I cover a story about a fight that happens at school, I need to cover both sides. If I cover a story about how the teachers are giving out too much homework, right? I need to get quotes from the teachers. I need to get quotes from the students. I need to get quotes from the parents. I need to get quotes from the school district. That's how you create balance in your story. You need to hear both sides. If you don't have quotes from both sides, you don't have information both sides, it's not balanced, and it could be seen as inaccurate or biased. You need to have grammar, news judgment, so you need to be able to, we'll learn about after. Strong grammar, spelling, and be able to tell a story, right? So these are all the skills you need as a journalist. All right, so we have a few more slides left. Oh, 3 more slides, and then I'll explain the homework to you guys. All right, so quality of news. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 things that count as news. The first one is timeliness, right? Things, meaning what constitutes a news story. The first one is timeliness. Is this happening now, right? So a news story, is this happening now? Is it something that is occurring within recently or right now? Proximity, is this happening here? So it counts as news if it's near you, if it's happening in LA, if it's happening in California, like the California fires. There's a fire down the street from you right now. That's news. Is it unusual in nature? Does this happen often? So for example, if there's a coyote down the street coming from the hills, that's actually pretty common in my area. If you see students graduate from high school, that's common. But if something unnatural is happening, so unusual, we see a lion walking around the street, or the first ever like a valedictorian that is like 12 years old, right? So that graduated high school early. If it's unusual, if it doesn't happen often, it counts as news. Human interest stories counts as news. So when we talk about specific people and they have an interesting story. So for example, we wrote a story in Spartan Shield about a girl who came from Mexico, and within 3 years, she learned English, she was taking AP classes, and she got accepted to college. That's a cool story. That's a story worth writing. We also write about conflict, politics, war, crime, right? Things that are happening that cause conflict. We write stories about impacts. Does the story impact the readers? So I know in the LA area, last year, they wanted to open up a Walmart. That impacts the people in the area, because if you open up a Walmart, it could shut down businesses in the HP area because it crushes small businesses. You can write about COVID because it's not only timely, it's impactful. People have to shut down their businesses. You can write stories that are helpful. So either you give tips on what to eat, your health, how-to stories, how to build something, how to buy something, a guide, like you review like a new game, things that are helpful. People love this. Celebrity news. Did the Kardashians do something? So stuff like that. Entertainment. So this could be anything from sports to human interest, anything that is just funny or interesting. Issues and problems in community. So this is usually conflict plus proximity. If you have police brutality from the HP department, then that would be an issue that's conflict and proximity. And the last thing is trends. Things are happening and you see that as current. We'll go over this more. We have an assignment for this next week. I don't want to overload you this week just because next week we don't have a chapter to read, but this for homework group this weekend we have a chapter. All right, there's two types of news. There's hard news and there's soft news. Hard news refers to stories of timely nature and by events or conflicts that have just happened. Crimes, fires, meetings, protests, speeches. These are hard news. Usually means serious items, and all you gotta do is report on what happened, why it happens. Soft news, on the other hand, is entertainment. It's something that's supposed to be for fun, like tabloid news or like a review on a video game. But if there was a bank robbery or a murder, that's hard news. Hard news, serious stuff. Soft news is just not so serious. There's a feature, and these are all things that come from chapter 1 from your assignments, is a story that focuses on people, places, or issues that affect lives. So this feature usually focuses on one person, and breaking news is a story that happened and that was released right away. All right, last slide. So studies have found that most people only scan newspapers. So if you look at this newspaper, people usually just kind of scan the headline and read about 25% of the newspaper, right? They don't look at everything. What people are drawn to in a newspaper is the visuals. They like to look at charts, they look at images. So it's a key thing that you never just have a newspaper full of words because it's very daunting and you don't want to look at that. However, as said in chapter 1, it said that online, people actually don't look at the pictures, more so they look at the text and the shape of things. All right, so that's chapter 1. I just wanted to go over it with you guys so you guys kind of had an idea of what was going down. Please, 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 if you look at this, we have chapter 1 journalism notes, what you needed to do. This was due yesterday, but we're still accepting it for late credit. You needed to click on the assignment, it downloads to your Google Drive, and then what you need to do is complete it. So this person, Marco, he was able to do it, which is awesome. You read through a chapter, it's simple, it just takes some time. When you're done with that, or if you feel like you're ready, we have a quiz. It's very simple. As long as you understand what we talked about in this presentation or the chapter. It's 10 questions. You get 15 minutes, I believe, to complete it. And you get 2 tries. So as soon as our class ends, you can start taking the quiz. By tomorrow, the quiz closes. So you can't take it anymore after that, which you'll lose a big part of your grade. So yeah, at the very minimum, take the quiz or you'll get a 0 for it. Remember, you get 2 tries. It's open book, open notes, open whatever you have. And you can work with a friend if you want, but I'm not gonna rely on that. But the goal of it is just so to check that you understand what's happening in that chapter. All right, our homework for week 2. Oh, I didn't add the other thing. Okay. Our homework for week 2 is look at chapter 2. Chapter 2 is very short. It goes by quickly. It looks like a lot of pages, but when I was creating the outline for it, it went by really fast. So it says 24 pages, but there's a lot of filler in there. Click on this, and you have till next week to do this outline. You click on it, saves, do this outline, and we have a quiz next week. All right. Do you guys have any questions? All right, so just let me go back to the agenda. So today, we went over chapter 1. You can stick around later if you have any questions on anything. Our homework for next week is chapter 2 notes. I didn't add it yet but there's going to be a worksheet that you need to do. It's called 5 Ws. You have to find an article, any article, and you fill out that worksheet based on the article. And then make sure you do chapter 1 quiz by today. All right, if you feel like you understood what you need to do, feel free to leave. If you have any questions, please stick around and ask me. But everyone else, have a great day.
Mister, I have a question about the class.
Yeah, Brian, what's up?
There's nothing like you could do as a teacher to help me get out? Or is this all up to the counselor?
Oh, it's up to the counselor and you guys. 'Cause I can't move you guys out of class. I only could recommend you for classes.
Okay.
Yeah. Wish you luck, man.
Well, bye.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah. If you have any questions, let me know.
You won't believe this. I did the quiz before doing the notes.
Oh,
Because it didn't let me do the notes. It kept on saying access denied, so I didn't know. So I just did the test, and I try to refresh it every single time. It just keeps on saying like access denied. So I was like, oh, am I supposed to do the test before I do the notes?
No, you have to log in on your. Make sure you're logged in LHD account.
That's why I am logged into my LAUSD account.
Really?
Yeah, it just didn't let me do the notes.
All right. Well, Brian, I'm going to send you. I'm sending you the chapter notes directly then.
So I did the notes before we even did this. So I was like, did we learn this? I was questioning myself. Did I miss a meeting or what? And I was like, okay, you know what? I'll try it. I did decent on it for what I knew already.
Yeah, it's not too hard. It just kind of.
Yeah, it was more like a run through. Like I didn't run through a lot of this, so I was like, there's like some things that I didn't understand. Like I knew hard news and soft news, like that was pretty obvious. But there's things like there's one with a slash on it. It had like media slash something something something. I was like, wait, what is that?
So you weren't able to access the document?
No, not the doc. Yeah, the beginning journalism notes. I wasn't able to access that.
All right, I'm gonna message you the file so you can do it. Yeah, because for the beginning of the class, most of the grades are gonna relate to the summaries, and then we're gonna start writing.
Yeah.
All right, chapter 1 notes. All right, do that and submit it.
Will do. Thank you.
Anyone else have questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
What's up, Elijah?
So you were discussing earlier if anyone used any social media.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel old, even though I am young. The thing about me is that I've only one social media. Like, if anyone ever asks me, do you use anything else? I just kind of groan because I don't like any other social media except for YouTube. And YouTube's not even all that great. It's pretty awful. But the only reason I use it is because it's entertaining, gives me information, and it mostly is a hodgepodge where I could look at all kinds of opinions, even ones I disagree with.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. It's good to look at different opinions.
I've been thinking about getting a Twitter, but at the same time, that's the biggest waste of time I could do.
Maybe. Yeah, definitely.
But there
go
are
ahead.
so many things out there that could be detrimental to my life during social media. I've seen people who are obsessed with it, and while it ends bad for them, obviously, as it usually does.
All right. Does anybody have questions about class?
Mister, I have a question.
Yeah, Aurelie.
So my laptop kind of froze, so I had to start using, like, it was down for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What are you grading us on for this report card?
Okay, so let me click on. We have everything from week 1 through 5. So can you see my screen right now?
Yes.
If you go to unit 1, week 1 assignments, there are these assignments. So personal artifact, what are you reading? Were you here the first week?
Yeah, I was.
Okay, so all those assignments. And then week 2, we have this assignment right here, writing number 2, exercise number 2. And then we had to combine 2 and 3 just because we're a little behind. So what you also need to do was this outline assignment. Do you understand how to do that?
Not really.
So if you click on it, it'll send you to, like, it looks like this, right?
Yeah.
And then I wonder if you clicked on it. Did you click on it yet? Oh, you did. So if you click on it, oh, you haven't opened the assignment. So it saves to your Google Drive, right? You're gonna have a copy of it. Yes?
Okay. Yeah.
And then once you click on it, open it, it should look like this. What you need to do is read through the chapter, and I scanned the chapter here. It's right here, chapter 1, PDF. Read through the chapter, and then for each section, so you see on this first section, it says media convergence. And then you notice up here it says media convergence. So for each of these headings, I need you to see what it asks you to do. So right here it says provide key points. So you read these paragraphs right here, and then give me a summary right here. And then you see the next one says changing delivery of news. Then you see changing delivery of news. So you're in the right section, and it gives you small definition of what these words means. And then you go here, and then you type in the definitions of what those words are.
Okay.
And it's just so
Okay,
you
so
can,
I get it.
yeah, so you learn through the chapter.
Okay. Thank you, mister.
So the last thing you need to do is you have a quiz to take by tomorrow. You can take it today if you want, if you're ready.
Okay. Thank you, mister.
All right, no problem. Alexa, Christopher, you have any questions?
Sorry, I don't know that one.
All right. If not, I'm going to end class.
Well, mister,
Yeah.
I was wondering if you read through the, I'm not sure if you remember or not, but I was wondering if you remember what I wrote down for where we had to take an article, summarize it, and give our opinion on it.
Say it again.
It's the what are you reading assignment where we had to take an article and discuss it. I was wondering if you graded mine. It's there. I know. I'm just saying if you read through it because I find it personally interesting.
No, I haven't looked at your. Maybe I did. I don't know. Maybe I did.
But what I'm saying from that is that sometimes you read an article and it's surprising about the things you're not told.
Mm-hmm.
Like about that article, I talked about a game which you might think, oh, is the game good or bad? It's mostly about the backstory of the game and how over 7 years, the game's development only started in the last 18 months, and the crew needed to go through heavy amounts of like horrible stuff happened to them through stress, through anxiety, through horrible grind. And you're not really told about that, but if you investigate, it's just horrible what's happening in the industry, how much is, how much these people go through, and it's not really shown.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. All right, does anyone have any more questions? I know Christopher, you sent me a message. Try your best to see what you can. Message me if you need help on anything. But I need to turn in what I can by this weekend. All right. Carlos, you good? All right, cool. Elijah, it's good talking to you. I'll see you guys next week.
All right, bye.
See ya.
Have a great day.
You too.